Good morning. The Hoover Board of Education is now called to order. If you do so, please join me in an invocation. Father, thank you so much for today. Thank you for the rain that you're sending our way, because we know the rain makes the grass green and the flowers grow. Father, I just ask that you be with this board today as we make decisions about our students. Father, I pray that you watch over us. We watch over our students and keep us safe. Father, thank you so much for yesterday and what it meant in the honoring our soldiers that have fought hard to give us the opportunity to have a free public education. Father, we just ask that you bless their families. Father, continue to be with us and as we move forward. In his name we pray. Amen. Please stand for our pledge. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Goodwin, will you do a roll call to establish quorum, please?
Stephen Preston.
Here.
Earl Cooper.
Here.
Greg Kelly.
Here.
Jill Gaines Beach. Deanna Baumann.
Quorum has been established. Board members, before you have the agenda for today's meeting. Do I have a motion to adopt this agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The agenda is approved. Do we have any public participation this morning? Having none, we'll move into our action items. The action item on the agenda would be the city's request for parcels of land and right-of-ways. Dr. Murphy.
Board members, you have before you a resolution that has been prepared by our attorney Whit Colvin. This particular resolution includes a couple of parcels of land and a couple of construction easements. I am recommending this resolution to you. There is Park Access Drive, which is included in this resolution. It is 1.38 plus or minus acres. I believe that you all have a map before you, and that's referred to as Park Access Drive. That comes in off of Stadium Trace into the Met Finley Center. We have also a request for a parking lot parcel. 1.95 plus or minus acres is also requested in this resolution. There are two construction easements also included, and that is referred to on your map as Buccaneer Access Drive, which would connect Buccaneer Drive into the complex, the sports complex, would allow us ingress and egress into that property, give us an additional way into and out of Hoover High School. There is also a request for construction easement for a road being referred to as Buccaneer Drive Extension. This would connect in front of our maintenance operations complex onto the Fleming Road in front of Bumpus Middle School. So those are the parcels of land. I will also note for you on Exhibit A, this exhibit will be updated. It does show utility lines coming through a parcel of our land, which our board has clearly indicated is not acceptable to us. And so if you will disregard those utility lines on Exhibit A, I believe that we're still waiting for Alabama Power to make some decisions about how they're going to route that through any properties that the city might have, or this parking lot parcel. 1.95 acres may be bordering that, but we clearly indicated no desire for this to come through our property. So these are this is the resolution, and let's open that back up for any conversation.
All right, Dr. Murphy, one point of clarification. The Park Access Drive, that will not grant access all the way to Stadium Trace. That grants access to the current parking lot that is on the north side of the Met. It does not grant access all the way to Stadium Trace. Comments from the board, questions from the board?
Mr. Westholt.
Yes.
By the way, great job this last SEC tournament.
Thank you.
I mean, it was a fantastic job by the city. Thank you.
We have a great team.
You really do. On the suggestion for the resolution, item 3, it's got at the end of the last sentence, or municipal purposes. As far as this is discussing it remaining a private road for the Board of Education. Now, we're talking about the 2 roads that connect with Buccaneer Drive past transportation and the one north of there, which is Buccaneer Access Drive on these diagrams. Other municipal purposes, could you tell me what that means?
I would believe it would be anything that the city considers to be in its best interest as far as primarily access through the parks is
Okay.
what we're looking for, a connection between the 2 schools.
But not necessarily a connector for residential traffic and egress, ingress for other than park purposes, right?
I don't know that we actually have that hammered out at this point in time.
Okay.
Potentially it could be. I think that would be worked out between the city and the school board.
My concern remains that we don't make this steady thoroughfare of continual traffic going right in front of our high school for safety reasons. And I want to make it clear from the last meeting we had, in no means am I suggesting that police, fire, emergency vehicles ever be restricted for any reason. So I don't know if that was clear the last time, but thank you to Chief Thursday for speaking. But like I said, we'll put you a substation out there for the police if need be. Okay. There's, Mr. Colvin, there's no suggestion, if I understand the law correctly, being Board of Education property, there's no chance of a prescribed easement being implied or put in place because the prescribed easements don't apply to governmental property. Is that right?
That is, you don't want to say never, but that we are setting things up so that there would not be a situation where there would be a prescribed easement. Obviously, as we get down the road, if we want it to be a public road, we will work with the city and make sure they want it a public road and designate it as such, as opposed to doing it the backwards way, which is having it be prescribed through public use. And the way that you do that is, as you know, we've talked about with regard to our Spain Park roads. We do that through certain control, and you can do that through signage, and you do that through a very clear statement that this is not a public road, it's private. Sometimes you shut them down, sometimes you restrict them in ways that you don't do, that you don't restrict public roads. So certainly the act of granting this temporary construction easement and allowing the construction will not create a prescriptive easement.
And by permission.
For the public.
And by permission would probably imply the fact that you're not setting up a prescribed easement.
Exactly, that's why we'll do as attorneys, me and Philip and April, obviously we'll do all we can in advising you to make sure that right is maintained and that we don't create that public use, and that's why we use words like guests and invitees. In other words, our guests, the city's guests, the park board's guests are given permission to use it. It's not a matter of right. Does that make sense?
Yes. Mr. Westhoven, let me be sure I refer to you on the map correct. Coming from the west up to the 1.95 acres, which is Park Access Drive, is it possible that we do in fact deed you this property, Park Access Drive, coming over and to include the 1.95 acres, that we deed that to you and you decide not to do Buccaneer Drive Extension, which is the road going through transportation?
Are you asking, would we?
Are you committed, if we follow through with this, to completing both roads, particularly Buccaneer Drive Extension?
Provided we acquire the property, absolutely.
Yes, okay, that's what I'm asking. Thank you. And I still want to point out, the city's doing a fantastic job. We really appreciate the collaborative efforts with the city. This is not controversial. This is looking forward to 15 years from now, when this board's gone, the board could be wacko, the city could be wacko, we don't know. So it's protecting things to be here when we aren't here, and I think we all agree on that.
We understand.
Thank you.
just Mr. Kelly, just remember, this is the first step. Obviously, this opens the door for the city to then make plans and take other action. At the time when we do execute temporary construction easements and deeds and whatnot, actual conveyances, then we'll make sure to work with the city to make sure that we have the assurances too that the construction improvements that are planned to be constructed are actually constructed, or there's a commitment to it. And I assume the city will be doing that either by resolutions or the same type action that you're taking today or considering taking.
So just a point of clarification on the easement document that we had from Philip.
Right.
It noted a 1-year period of time.
Right. That's there because it's designed, I mean, it could have been longer, that's language that they put in there. That would mean that would give them time to construct the roads. And then obviously we would have to have further agreements providing for their use. That's really sort of a leap of faith in a way by the city that not only are they going to be permitted to do it, but that we're going to keep our good faith commitments to allow their use to even beyond that. Needless to say, before they, I suspect that before they start putting, pull the backhoes out, putting spades in the dirt, that we will have some of those details worked out so that they don't commit major funds to a project and then maybe get to the end and lose all use of them. So, but we'll work together to make sure that your intent and the city's intent is respected throughout this and that it's effectuated.
Mr. Coleman, am I correct in that this resolution authorizes our superintendent to enter into those agreements that you were just mentioning?
It does. Really what was intended by that is that that the superintendent could execute such temporary construction agreements or easements. Now, if there are longer term access agreements or things that involve more than that, then I feel sure that we would bring that back to the board for its full consideration, considering the importance that this issue has. So.
Any other questions, comments from the board?
And Mr. Presley, this would also permit her to go ahead and execute the deeds as well.
Great. Questions, comments? Questions, comments from our public?
Mr. President, we just thank the board and Dr. Murphy and Mr. Kaufman for the collegial nature of working this out. I think this is what people expect us to do, and that's what we've done here. So thank you very much. Great project, benefits everybody.
Great, thank you.
Board members, we have a motion to approve the recommendation of our superintendent for the resolution for the city's request for parcels, land, and right-of-ways. Do I have a motion to accept this recommendation?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. We've had discussion. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Resolution has passed. Last board meeting, we voted to change some board meeting dates. That will take place starting in July. So our next regular scheduled board meeting will be Monday, June the 12th. The Tuesday board meetings will start in the month of July going forward. So our next board meeting will be Monday, June the 12th here in central office at 5:30. It is now my privilege as Sean Connery did to Denzel Washington in the movie Crimson Tide. Mr. Cooper, you now have the con.
Well, I'll be Denzel Washington. Sean's dead. So next regular scheduled board meeting, June 12th. Pending any further discussion, meeting's adjourned.